baby beard.
Waited for you, Fry.
This episode traumatized me as a young person.
My head is hurting again.
Where's my firstborn son?
God does not care about me masturbating.
Your singing is bad and you should feel bad.
First get out into the bus, so you're like, oh no!
I don't like myself becoming the protagonist of this podcast.
You've been in
Yeah, because you haven't learned anything. Shut up and take my podcast.
Now, was that Billie Eilish or was that Britney Spears? Because it still shocks me that Britney Spears is not even 40 yet.
Oh, shit. Is she not?
She's 38.
What?
Because we were talking about Billie Eilish.
Whoa, okay. So sorry, you can't just...
Yeah.
I'm shooketh.
We were talking about Billie Eilish and talking about how young she is. And
Yeah.
I'm constantly shocked at how young Britney Spears is.
I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. I mean, she's still got damn abs.
I can't believe it's not Britney.
Fuck.
It wasn't Billie Eilish. It was just more that whole trend that happened for a while there where a lot of indie singers just kind of like really relied on that vocal fry.
Welcome to Shut Up and Take My Podcast. The Australian Futurama podcast. Yes, this is a Futurama podcast that pits episode against episode in a bloody glorious gauntlet battle for your entertainment, and we are only a few short episodes away until finishing said gauntlet. But until that time occurs, I am joined here by Ellen.
I just can't stand to see him like this. I'm going to push him off the roof.
By Sexy Chris.
I'm always wanting lap dance nachos.
And we're joined by Sean.
Has anyone ever used a dog to blow their nose?
I have cried on a dog.
That's fine.
I have not blown my nose on a dog. I have also used a dog to wipe off my excess hair dye.
I thought you were about to say mascara, so I'm glad.
No. I didn't realize I had hair dye. I was dyeing my hair.
Yeah.
And a bunch ended up on my hand and it just kind of gets everywhere. And then I realized
there was a living, breathing towel just meters away from
I
you.
realized like I was patting the dog and then I realized
okay.
like a week later I'm like, why has the dog got a purple fringe? That's why.
Because we have a cat. We have a cat in the household, and didn't Misha run around for a while with like dye on?
No.
And I was like, what?
Actually, yeah, she did.
Yeah, it was. I was like, Ellen, what did you do?
It wasn't me. Well, maybe it was. I don't know.
Fuck.
I'm sorry. Is it a crime to pet a cat?
Yes.
Maybe.
Well, then lock me up.
Hey, guys,
Yeah.
we're up to Season 7, Episode 23, which is Game of Tones.
Oh, cool.
I wonder what that could be a reference to.
Star Wars.
Yeah. Because when
The Witcher.
did Game of Thrones come out? 2011?
It's really...
Yeah.
I cannot believe that. I cannot believe that Game of Thrones came out when I was in year 11. That just seems whack to me. Like,
You were in year 11 in 2011?
Yeah, it's really easy to remember.
God, I was 2 years out of high school.
Same.
But it's crazy
3
to
years.
think I would have been watching Game of Thrones in high school.
2011.
Like, that's fucked to me.
2011 is when Game of Thrones came
I
out.
really don't like the passage of time.
See, I didn't start watching Game of Thrones until 2014.
Why were you a late adopter? Out of curiosity.
Because I had never heard of Game of Thrones before.
Uh-huh.
And then it was people at AC Arts that got me into it.
Yes.
Because I was in the elevator heading up. We were just about to leave. And one of our classmates, Mr. Felix, he says, like, I've been watching up to this point. He goes, oh, yeah, man. Like, what episode are you up to? And I was like,
None.
I'm up to, I'm actually up to the episode that was last week. And which was the Red Wedding.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
And he just went, oh, and he just put his hand on my shoulder and just went, I'll see you tomorrow, man.
And you hadn't seen it by
No, I
that
hadn't
point?
seen it by that point.
That's so fucking ominous.
And it's just like sincere. Oh,
What do you do?
Felix.
So many times where someone has said something to me of that nature and just being like, oh, I can't, I'm loving this character. And I'm like, like, what do you say? What do you say? I think I've just been like, yeah, they're really cool. And
Yeah.
like tried to play along. And then
I was both a late bloomer and I am going to be a late finisher because I haven't seen past season 5.
Oh, dang.
Really?
I mean, you can
Yeah.
skip season 6. That's no worries.
Do you want to?
The last thing I remember seeing was, I think one of the, what are they called? White Walkers
Yeah.
grabbed a baby and the baby turned blue.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Season 5
that's
was a
around
good season,
five.
right?
Yeah, season 5 was fine.
Season 6 is when they go to Dawn, correct?
I think that's in
because
season
that's
5.
when I pieced out. Oh, I pieced out when we went to Dawn.
Have you gone to Dawn?
What?
The spear people in
My
the
name
sunny.
is Sean.
The spear people. Wow, Chris.
That's what their crest is. It's a sun and 2 spears, if I remember correctly.
Spears. Britney Spears is
Stabby
on.
sticks.
We are
Britney
full circle.
Spears is the Tyrell. No, Tyrell.
Dawn.
Fucking no. What is it? What's the
Lannister.
No.
Who are you
Oh,
talking
wait.
about?
What's
Which
the
one?
ruling
Bits.
family of Dawn?
Sean?
Martell.
Oh, the Martells.
It's the Martell family crest. Is Britney Spears.
Someone who may or may not have a family crest is the director for this episode, whose name is Edmund Fong.
I'm looking it up.
Nice.
Edmund Fong is back from Fry and Leela's Big Fling. And this,
What happens in that one?
they have sex and people are watching.
Oh, yeah. I remember that
Oh,
one.
that's like the holiday destination.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually a zoo.
Where
or
we all
yeah.
talked about whether we would do that or not. I don't know. Were you on for that episode?
Yes, I was, because
You were.
I made the
You posed the question.
the salient point that I could just get paid rather than paying
Yeah,
to
exactly.
have people watch me have sex.
And
I mean, yeah, we're just retreading old steps from that episode, but I feel like it's a discount, so you would technically be paying in kind. I don't know. Forget about it.
Well, this is Edmund Fong's final episode.
Oh.
So, man, we're knocking them off like flies.
We are
bless.
really close to the end.
We are really close to the
We
end.
are very close.
We are a sum total of, after this episode finishes, we
3?
have 1, 2, 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have to start making decisions.
Yes, we are.
I am not ready for that. I think there's going to be a lot of arguing,
Good.
like constructive arguing,
Boo.
but I don't know if we can do it without making someone cry.
I'll cry. I already cried today. I've cried twice today.
Are you going to cry before we start the gauntlet just to get it out of your system?
That's
or
an
after?
idea. That's a good idea.
Maybe we should all have a pre-cry together.
Yeah.
Or we can just keep having rows with one another.
Nah, I'm not
like
about that.
the writer for this episode, Michael Rao.
Oh, I would not want to get in a row with him.
No, this is also his final episode, so he's pretty upset too. Still,
Yeah, he's really cut up about it.
7 years on. And just for completionist sake, the last episode he did was 2D Blacktop. Which is,
I don't recall.
yeah, it was the really fun episode where they turned
Oh,
2D.
yeah. And the street racing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
I wasn't on for that one.
The,
but
you
the,
were.
It
the
is a good
Fast
one.
and Furious one.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was so fun.
with the side character where she just keeps remembering her trauma.
Abusive
Yeah,
stepfather.
yeah, that's
verbally
right.
abusive.
Verbally abusive,
Which are still
father.
abused, but you know.
Yeah.
Nah, and the air date for this episode is August 16th, 2013. Look, guys,
Yeah, it's your birthday.
we're really low down with this episode. If you haven't realized by now,
It's more I'm just I've consumed about a fourth of a bottle of rosé.
is that what that was? I was wondering, am I the only one that doesn't have a drink?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, you run down the plot, and I'm going to get a drink.
We need to Sean needs to catch up. Oh shit, he's actually doing it.
Bye,
Oh
Sean.
fuck. Oh my
We've just been
God.
told to run down the plot.
You better be quick, Sean.
Here's the plot summary. Some things happen in this episode. Let me tell you what happens.
We start
Okay,
off.
so I
Yep.
got the whole plot.
Oh, you got it.
I did it.
I didn't need to do
Because
anything.
usually Phil does it, and if Phil isn't here, I usually get shuffled
Yeah,
with it.
I provided I did not even plan on being asked to do it. That's how much I fuck up plots.
I took the notes.
Great.
Okay, so this episode, Game of Thrones, there's strange music coming from space. Fry seems to recognize it, and as it gets closer to the planet, it seems to endanger the planet. The professor suggests that going into his memories through a dream state is the way to find it. Fry goes back to the time in 1999, just before he gets frozen, to try and find the sound. He can't seem to find it. Sean has just come back.
What do you mean?
With a hard cider, might I add.
A very hard cider.
It's a very good drink. So Fry keeps getting distracted by his lovely life in the dream. He spends time with his family. He spends time with his dog, Seymour.
Yep.
Eventually, the crew start invading his dream, telling him to hurry up because time is passing in not the same rate.
In the real world,
In the
yeah.
real world. Time seems to be going faster in the real world. Eventually, Fry realizes that this will be the only time he gets to spend with his family. He gets very sad, but begrudgingly takes President Nixon, Agnew, and the rest of the crew to the freezy place. What is it called?
Cryogenic chamber.
Applied cryogenics.
I wrote tube.
Freezy place.
The
I like
freezy
that.
tube.
The freezy tube.
There could just be a Zupa Duper.
Oh, yeah.
Or
That's also
a
another name for a vasectomy.
Yeah.
freezy tube.
Freezy tube. Isn't that the cutty tubes?
Oh.
The tie tubes.
Anyway, just as Fry is getting frozen, just before he's about to be frozen, he hears the sound that's been played and also hears 2 additional notes.
Do you remember it, by the way?
Da-na-na-na. I think it's
I've forgotten
something
it
like
already.
that.
Da-na-na-na.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And
Checks
then,
out.
And the responsive da-da.
Yep.
It turns out, so he plays that tune into space to the spaceship that's coming towards the planet. Mm-hmm. Turns out it's Nibbler's buddy Digby, who lost the company car after Nibbler and him got drunk when they were supposed to. Oh, here we go. Here's the sound.
There we go.
Do-do-do-do.
Are you going to play it?
Oh, I did.
I was a bit
Bit
sharp. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. Anyway, so Digby is like, I lost the company car. Nibbler, and that's what he's been using. He's been using the little, what do you call it?
A fob.
Clicky.
Yeah, fob.
Yeah, like a key.
Wow, right here. Use the key fob.
A car clicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I've
remember
I've
stuff.
never heard that term.
Really?
I think I've heard it, but I don't
I've heard
use it.
fob quite a lot. I think people use it a lot more for...
Fobbing someone off?
No.
No, but that is a word.
I believe it's a more American term than Australian.
That's an
I've heard it
American term?
used mostly while I'm here.
Oh, really? Okay.
By people referring to things that are not necessarily keys that have buttons, but things you swipe.
Oh, okay.
So
Sure.
I don't necessarily know what fob means.
Well, to fob off, which I was right, means like to palm off, like to fob off an inferior brand on someone.
So is that where fob comes
So
from?
maybe a
or
fob is
it,
something that's held in the hand, like a fob watch?
Yeah, or is it an acronym?
Okay, fob definition. So it is a chain attached to a watch for carrying a waistcoat, or it is a small ornament attached to a.
Okay.
And then if we go to Urban Dictionary, no, I'm not going to.
No, we're not going to go to Urban
Merriam-Webster
Dictionary.
might give us the.
If it was Urban Dictionary, I bet it would be like jerking off inside your pocket or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
It is perhaps akin to the German dialect Fappe, which means pocket.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Or the Middle Eastern phoben.
Foben.
Anyway,
Anyway.
what do you call it? English literacy aside,
Applied.
eventually they find the ship, give it a jump start, and Digby pisses off. Nibbler says that he owes Fry a favor, so Fry goes to sleep, and he appears in his own mother's dream. Not his dream, but he is able to interact with his mother after he's disappeared and been taken into the future.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
The end. That's the end of the plot. Question time.
What is that?
Q&A.
Another form of time travel that is just like so?
No, I don't.
Because he said it's her dream,
That's what I was confused about as well.
which is the day after.
Because when we went into Fry's dreams,
Yes.
he was hooked up to a whole machine.
And nothing was real.
And he was definitely there, present.
Yes.
They were
Yes.
extracting his dream as he is living and breathing. How do they store dreams on record? How the fuck does that work?
So this is where it gets squiffy.
Okay.
Fry has to have the dream in the 31st century with his mother, right? He has to conjure up those images, his intentions, because he's already experienced time in the 31st century, right?
Yes.
Then whatever those thoughts are have to go back to the 21st century to his mother. So there has to be time travel involved.
Because it's her dream.
Because it's her
it's not
dream.
his dream.
That's
it is
right.
her dream. So
So-
he was interacting with real her in her dream.
That's right.
They've literally inceptioned.
I thought that they had taken a pre-existing dream of hers somehow and stored it, and that's how he was able to. But I
No,
guess,
because she has an emotional impact, which you see in the 21st century where she smiles.
I
Yeah.
don't get it. Then I
Yeah.
don't. I
But
don't
it means
understand.
it means fucking Nibbler has the ability to go
Time
back,
travel,
That's right.
which he could send Fry back.
but is it only in dreams?
That's dumb.
Hey, fuck you.
Imagine having that. Okay.
All we know
Side
about
question.
Futurama is that that's dumb. It's time travel.
Side question.
Yes.
If you could go back in time, but only through someone's dreams, whose dreams would you invade?
I don't think I want to answer that. It'll be sad.
Besides your own.
My own.
Probably.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
It'd probably be my dad because
Yeah.
he's no longer with us, and I think every part of his life and whatever is precious. So, like, it's always the thing. The people that you wanted to get to know more of, every kind of thing in their life or that they touched or interacted with them becomes precious to you. So I think that's my answer.
Well, who would that?
It's a bit of a mupper.
If I wanted to get to know
Abraham
someone better,
Lincoln.
who would I
Jesus.
Jesus Christ.
do? My dog. Because I want to be in their dreams when they're running from things. I want to know what those dreams are like.
Are you sure? I always interpreted it as dogs were running
Nightmare?
to things.
Maybe it'll be me.
That's what I thought.
But they never reach you.
I'd keep running away.
I always thought, I don't know, whenever I saw my dog running in a dream, I thought, he's chasing something.
I always thought it was like more of a nightmare scenario.
Oh no.
So running from things.
Oh, that's terrible.
Like,
What could a dog be running from? The vacuum.
yeah.
Yeah. Many things.
Large
A
vacuums.
giant fucking vacuum.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you're a dog, and I'm assuming that I would be your dog, Sean, not me, the person, but in this dream scenario.
Okay, in this
Putting
idea.
myself in the shoes of your dog. Why is he wearing shoes?
Because I put them there.
Sorry, that's a terrible joke.
It's a dream.
It's
He's
a
allowed
dream.
to wear shoes.
True. He's obviously a domestic dog, very well loved.
Yep, that
What-
checks out.
What could he be running from? Like, what fears would a domesticated, well-loved dog have?
Responsibility.
Anxieties. Like the rest of us.
But
Domesticated human
how
beings.
can you be chased by the fear of your owner going away? Do you know what I mean?
We just have that scene playing over and over again.
What if
Oh, no.
what if it's me like running towards the dog but backwards, so it looks like I'm walking away from the dog, but I'm also technically chasing it.
What if... No, that's... Anyway.
Also, speaking of like weird shit,
Can we...
So-
yes. Go on.
I found out. So first of all, that is Seth MacFarlane in
Yes.
the episode. It is 100% Seth MacFarlane.
Sorry, who is Seth MacFarlane?
When Seymour talks
And
on
becomes
the couch,
Brian from Family Guy.
I don't...
it's 100% Seth MacFarlane.
When Seymour talks.
So Fry goes, this is my dream. Anything can happen. And I think it's Leela who says that actually.
Yeah.
And then Seymour is sitting on the couch
With a drink
with
martini
a
in
dry
hand.
martini in his hand and speaks with Brian the dog's voice.
You may have checked out through this.
This is worrying because I do not recall that at all. I know I did have a few business emails to quickly check on during the episode.
I had a few drinks.
and I had a few drinks.
Yeah. Welcome to my brain, Ellen.
But-
Welcome to memory loss.
do
It's exciting, isn't
not
it?
recall that at all.
Well, here's what I found out as well, because I had started doing a bit of a Wikipedia dive on Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
Because they also mentioned, did you know that Seth MacFarlane for 6 months dated Amelia Clark?
What?
I think I knew that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. Out of his league.
She can do better.
Yes,
Well, I
absolutely.
mean, they're not dating
she can
anymore.
do better.
Because she's on an episode later, in a couple of episodes' time.
She's in an episode of
Oh,
Futurama.
is she in
Fuck
Extensions?
yeah.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Great
and so
episode.
it's like Seth MacFarlane was also like dated Amelia Clark. It says it here.
Holy shit.
And I looked it up and she like admitted it. She's like, yeah, she admitted it. Yeah. She's like, yeah, we dated for
yes,
6 months.
I dated him.
Sean,
Yes.
you were on the Futurama wiki,
Yes.
the Infosphere.
Yes.
Can you please go down to trivia and or goofs and or additional information?
What would you like?
I would like you to find whether the community has talked about the fact that this time travel ending makes no fucking sense.
No. Because, and the reason I know this is that I remember going through the time travel part of this, because in the Infosphere they have a time travel thingy, continuity.
Can I?
No.
Oh.
No one does. No, sorry, what?
I thought you were just shooting me down right there. It reminds me a lot of the ending of AI.
Here we go. The final scene is a reference to the ending AI. Oh my God! Where the protagonist gets to live one last experience with his mother based on memories. There you go.
Yes, because it's a similar thing in that film that makes no fucking sense.
Okay, so it doesn't make sense there either?
Well, gosh, this has been a while now since I've watched AI, but I do know that the robot of
The titular AI.
yes, he is found by now super intelligent alien beings or super evolved versions of human beings, something. And they are able to put him in the memories of a loved one, but only once. And I don't know how that works at all.
At David's insistence, they recreate Monica through genetic material from the strand of hair that Teddy kept.
That's
this Monica
right.
can only live for one day and the process cannot be repeated. David spends the happiest day with Monica as she falls asleep.
So it's
Blah,
not
blah, blah,
even
blah,
a
blah.
dream. They've just basically cloned her. But for some reason, this clone can only live
Guys,
for a day.
It's a replicant,
Sure.
a very speedy replicant.
Sure. Why
Okay, so no, people don't seem to find this an issue, probably because they were crying at the end, which I
shed it to you.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
I felt I might be aggro because I'm
not drunk as the
not
rest
drunk,
of us are.
but
Deeply angry person.
I didn't feel like the ending was earned.
I felt the same way. Not to get not to say that this ending isn't emotional, but it just doesn't make sense why.
Yeah.
And I feel like the music and the fact of the context of talking to a loved one who is long deceased is in and of itself, you don't need a whole episode around that to be a heart-wrenching scene. Do you know what I mean? Like that context alone is very sad. The music is doing a lot of the weight, but I just remember thinking, but no, it doesn't have the weight of the rest of the episode behind it.
Yeah.
It just feels like it came out of left field.
It only needed like another scene or two because we've got 6 seasons worth of this to fall back on as well. Like we know Fry misses his family. We know he wanted their approval and to say one last thing, but it just needed like a scene.
Can I pitch maybe a stronger kind of through line?
Ooh,
Please.
do so.
Because I mean, this episode, in my opinion, is much better done in Luck of the Fryrish.
Yes.
It's
One
the
of my
same
favourite
kind of.
episodes.
It's the same kind of thing, right? Him looking back on old memories of his life and how it was spent, and his relationship with his brother.
Yancey.
Now realizing that it has an added context. The context is now his brother is long deceased, but also realizing that a lot of what he was experiencing at the time was not necessarily all of Yancey.
Yeah.
And I feel like we had a little bit with this episode where Fry cannot see experiences he didn't have that last day. He is trapped by that day.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a great metaphor for thinking about other people in your life. You don't know what your mum is going through. Like he didn't know what his mother was thinking or feeling or doing on that day. And I feel like maybe if he had kind of more pursued this through line earlier on with a strong kind of connection to his mother, that it would have been a much more fulfilling thing because there's a lot of gaps. And maybe him talking to his mother, realizing it's a simulation and still being able to bring up all these heart-wrenching things would be a much more emotional clincher at the end if we then realize that his mother can hear him.
Because even for me, like I would have been okay if it's like that bittersweet thing of it's made very clear that
she's not real,
that he's gone back into he's relived the same day just so he can get 2 minutes and just to vent some of his own stuff, and she'll give him the response.
Yeah.
Maybe she's like okay, and like but that's enough for him.
Yeah.
Because it's that physical, like he actually just got to splurge.
Yeah,
what he needed to say.
for me, a truly heart wrenching, like Seymour level of like, would be him telling his mum all these things with the sadness and poignancy of him thinking that it's only a simulation, and then we, the audience, realize that his mum can actually somehow experience it too.
Yeah, timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey, Jeremy Bury bullshit.
I'd be really happy if... So I did cry. This one got me, but also I'm having a sad
But you're not
day.
wrong for doing it.
No,
It's,
I agree with you, Ellen. I actually think that his mum shouldn't hear him.
No.
At all. At all, ever. Because she's dead.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know I sound like a bit of a Debbie Downer, but that's why this constant referral back to Seymour, this constant like digging up family stuff, like I think there's an attempt at closure, and the best part about Futurama, particularly in its original series, is that it doesn't give closure.
Seymour, because
Oh,
remember
Seymour is heart-wrenching because
Yeah.
of that same reason. Seymour never gets closure. Fry never gets closure.
And Fry never knows that Seymour waited the entire
No.
time. Like, that's the whole thing.
We,
That's
the
what
audience, have
knows.
that burden.
Even the end of season 4, when Fry and Leela reach out to each other, it isn't clear what the relationship is going to be. It's certainly not closure. It's the beginning of something.
Yes.
But that's how they want to end it. I think Futurama did this really beautifully. And Sean, do you remember?
Is it
season one,
six? Oh,
season one, episode 11.
Describe the context.
It's the TV one.
Oh, that's when aliens attack.
An
It's our
aliens
season
attack.
1 winner.
Yes, exactly. At the end of that episode, they say Fry is talking about how the best way to wrap up a good TV show is to know everything returns back to normal.
Yep.
And then Futurama, they pull out
on
and
the planet.
and the city is on fire and everything is in
that's
ruins.
right. Yeah, yeah.
And that's why that episode is really good, is because they acknowledge that this show does not have to end with closure.
Yeah.
It does not have to wrap things up. It can leave things ambiguous or hurtful or going through them. I think this is a step away from that. I think this is an attempt at giving a show that's ending closure, and that's not what the show is about.
Can I just further on our pitched ideas of this episode?
Yes.
I think to add what we've all said and further it with your suggestion, Chris, I think it would be nice if Fry could somehow, through the intervention of Nibbler and Digby, see his mum's dream, but not necessarily be able to interact with it.
Cool.
It's like a recording. And he's able to then see that his mum really did love him and think about him often and conjure up her own version of him somehow. I think that would be a really heartwarming episode. Or heartwarming ending. Heartwarming. That's Seymour's dream.
Oh.
Heartwarming episode.
You
ending
could
to
do
an
that.
episode.
They get drunk, they wake up the next morning and they go, wow, we just ruined this kid's life.
Yeah.
Let's grab a piece of his his family life and keep it safe for him. And Digby's the one who has it. Hey kid, thanks for finding my ship. Here's this thing that I saved for you because I knew what you were going to go through was going to be hard.
That would be a nice link as well to what the main plot is, because I think that's one of the another thing that led to this dissonance, like the fob to the lost company car. I'm like, why is this fucking happening? Like, it's basically an excuse for us to go back into Fry's past memories, but it's been 1,000 years. Do they really care about the company car that much?
It also doesn't clock with what the rest of the Niblonians are like.
No, and also when he uses the fob to demonstrate that that's what the noise is, he uses it on Earth. So why is that not blowing the planet apart like it did with Floronian or whatever the fuck the first planet was? Like,
No, it was during the month of
February.
It was like planet Z9, but whatever.
That's when I'm born.
But do you know what I mean? Like
February,
Yeah.
or Z9.
but he's using the fob, and as the ship gets closer and closer to a planet, it breaks apart. So then when he uses the fob on Earth, I'm like, what the fuck? This is the whole premise to this episode.
This is the
and
threat.
you've just immediately unraveled it completely.
I don't mind that so much as I mind it doesn't have any relationship to what is happening in the plot.
That is also a big thing.
I would ask you, what's the A plot and what's the B plot? Because I would say this doesn't have a B plot.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It has an A plot.
Because all other characters are periphery.
Yes.
And they're watching and then they engage.
That's right.
But they're not doing their own thing
No.
while Fry's in there. It's all like they could have made a B plot out of how they're dealing with the earthquakes, but they didn't.
No.
So it's just one straight through line.
And it's not a real threat because it at no point is a real threat because there's no sense of tension.
Well, I don't know how 13 days went past in half of his morning.
Yeah, but we were able to relive the rest of the day
In a couple of hours.
Yeah.
We actually have a bit of a tenuous relationship with Michael Rao.
Do we?
Well,
having a row with him. Yeah.
Michael Rao was the angriest Ellen because Michael
Oh,
Rao
bend her.
was bend her.
Well,
What else has he written?
Well, he also did
way
one
to
that,
handball that to me.
well, we had Bender's Game, which all of you disliked and I liked.
Bender's Game, was that the film?
The D&D film.
Right.
That's right.
There was Proposition Infinity, which was Ellen, myself, and Callum.
Proposition Infinity.
No. That was the
is-
episode after.
That's the robo marriage one, isn't it?
Because we had Attack of the Killer app with Callum. Sorry. Then Fry and the Eggman, which I can't remember. Butter Junk Effect and 2D Blacktop.
Butter Junk Effect is the which one's that one?
Butter Junk Effect is the
wrestling.
The derby with wings.
Yeah. The women's wrestling thing.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
weird. I wasn't
And
on that episode.
Fry and the Eggman is with the fucking horrific monster that Fry has to look after. That was quite nice.
yes.
That was
I
okay.
enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It's more Bender that made me really
Yeah.
mad. And Bender's Game, I think,
Can you
had the same criticism,
Yeah.
in my case at least, that most of the movies did, where it was just like, it feels like a lot of people had different ideas about where this wanted to
Can
go.
you see what else he's done? Because I thought
Just
I
in
saw
general.
on that he's in some Futurama stuff.
He's written for Becca, the Nanny, and Family Guy.
Family Guy, sorry.
Annie.
Becca, wait, fucking Ted Danson?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That was a throwback and a half. Thank you for that.
That was really smooth, Sean,
And he was nominated for an Annie Award.
for this episode.
This episode was nominated for the Writers Guild of America Award for writing. Speaking of, before we get to that, let's just like quick fire. So,
Okay, yeah.
sorry, OGT, I'm stealing your stuff.
Quick fire.
Oh, Death Tally. Totally, I don't care what you say.
Stanley? Is that his
Yeah.
name?
Oh, he's dead.
He's
Yeah.
dead.
He's dead.
He's dead.
I mean, until we see him in another episode.
which we may not.
That's true. We've only got 3 left.
That may have been. You know what? And let's quickly figure this out. What was his name? Randy.
Randy. I wasn't too far.
Does he appear in another episode after this?
Yes, he does. Damn it. All right.
Take
Randy
it back.
gets to live.
Take it back.
Maybe just very hurt.
Oh,
What about that
Thought
whole
Spikes.
planet?
Oh yeah,
That whole planet that was
everyone
exploded.
on Z9. If it had people on it,
If it
they're
had
dead.
people on
Yep.
it.
They're dead.
What was the other one, Sean?
I was just saying Thought Spikes. is
They seem
also-
cool.
Thought spikes.
Oh, you
Isn't-
looked away when this happened?
No, I saw it.
Oh, you saw it,
But they
yeah.
didn't die.
No,
No.
I've gone away from it.
Oh, okay.
I just liked Thought Spikes.
So did I.
It was very cringy.
It reminded me of a Doctor Who episode. Actually, it's in the first season of the Revived series with Christopher Eccleston, and they click their fingers, and basically your head fucking opens.
Oh, yeah.
as like a USB drive.
That's
Oh.
right.
Yeah, it reminded me of that a
That's
little
a
bit.
good one.
Yeah, it is a good one.
Eccleston was great.
I liked him.
Any other, Ellen?
I have never had it work humming a song into Shazam.
I've never used Shazam.
Okay.
Nor have I.
Oh.
I also hated that joke.
I
Seemed-
was thinking about this the other day, right? So the reason, what I used to hate with the new Futurama episodes, and it was especially prevalent in Attack of the Killer app, which is all about apps, is I realized I hated episodes that felt like they were deliberately shoehorning in like modern technological references. But then I started to think about, I'm sure they used to do that with classic Simpsons, etc., and it wouldn't have bothered me as much because time has passed. So I wonder whether those sorts of references would be less cringy to you if you watch this episode, say, 20 years from now when Shazam's
Well,
obsolete.
that's an interesting thing because I was wondering about this with 2 of my favorite shows, The Good Place and Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
They both have the same kind of gag, which is they both have characters who are very kind of ultra rich and engage with kind of socialites and celebrity. And so their jokes are constantly them telling ridiculous anecdotes of famous people. And I was thinking, I don't know how that's going to date in a few years because are people going to know who they are?
It depends on the celebrity.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a gamble.
exactly. But I mean, in the moment, I find them fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, who is that judge that they reference in Futurama that's like still a judge now, so it still rang true? What's her name?
Oh shit! I should know this. She's 88.
Yeah.
Ruth Bader.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah.
like they made a reference to her in the original season, and we all laughed because like she's still
God bless her,
active now.
still
Yes.
kicking.
Yeah.
That's a reference. That's
If
like
she
yeah.
goes, I worry
we're all screwed.
a lot more about the American justice system.
I think the Shazam. So I was on a recent episode of The Simpsons Index, and I'm going to bring it back because we talked about an episode where they talked about Pokemon Go,
Yes.
right? And we all agreed that it was shit.
New Simpsons?
Basically, because we argued that as
You're saying
opposed,
it wasn't saying anything.
well, yeah, it lacked satire, it lacked purpose,
Right.
Like the joke wasn't at the expense of the thing; it was like at the expense of the people using that thing, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't an opportunity to satire; it was an opportunity to like basically punch down in a weird kind of way. It was kind of
Yes.
It wasn't
meaningless.
punching up at the company. It was punching down at the people who
using
use
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
but also it felt like a Family Guy cutaway. That's what I think the Shazam joke in this is,
Yeah,
right?
it
Because it
fell
doesn't have
flat.
anything to do with Shazam. Like it means nothing. Like if you use Shazam, what's the joke here? Is that he sings bad and then it flies away? Like
Yeah.
what's
Well,
the
the payoff wasn't really funny at all. It's like
Neither was the premise.
No.
Yeah.
But it has no meaning to what it's about. Like,
No.
why does the app fly?
You
like,
know what?
in a real, like, stupid Chris Bond being a fucking nerd who's obsessive. Like, why does this joke end that way? Why is the punchline that? Like,
Yeah.
what writer thinks, right, so we're going to make a joke about Shazam and we're going to have Hermes sing into it. It's going to criticize his singing and then it's going to fly away because we
Yeah.
don't know how to pay off the joke.
Well, the problem is that the premise is bad and the payoff is bad, and usually you can forgive one or the other if the other one's strong enough, but both just feel kind of very undercooked.
You know what I thought? I mean, for some reason, I thought this was going to be the gag, and this is a complete judgment on my part because the joke I would have made would be fucking ridiculous. But I thought Shazam was going to fucking answer the phone when he's like,
in-
"Oh, I have an app for that. Oh, it's Shazam," as in
The DC Comics.
that. But also,
Zachary Levi.
No, wasn't a movie as well with Shaq?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought
That's a deep
I
cut.
thought Shaq was going to be on the other line when you Shazam a song, and I thought, wow, that's fucking ridiculous. But I
Also-
can see Futurama doing that.
I'm pretty sure Shaquille O'Neal had retired by 2013, so he could have been available.
yeah, he would have been Shaq.
Yeah, he played until 2011. He was available.
But also, Shaq seems like he doesn't say no to projects.
That's true.
So,
he had a prolific rap career.
I mean, I feel like my joke, as stupid as it is, at least it's not punching anyone. It's more punching itself in its confusion. But that's honestly where I thought that joke was going there for a second. So there you go. You get an insight into my comedic styling.
Let's wrap up all our further insights.
Oh, first of all, I looked up Kaboom cereal.
Kaboom cereal.
It's a vitamin fortified circus themed breakfast cereal. The mascot is a clown.
What the fuck?
Which contained oat cereal bits, like smiling clown faces, marshmallow bears, lions, elephants, and stars.
I wrote Kamoob.
There you
did
go.
write
And
Camus.
wait, hang on. This episode was in 2011,
Yeah,
right?
13.
13.
So by
13.
that point,
It was discontinued.
it was discontinued for a year.
Kaboom.
So it was very topical.
I
I
guess
honestly,
so, yeah.
I, you know what? I'll talk about it when we get to the ranks.
Okay,
When we
so
vote.
we're gonna get to the vote now. Let's just formalize it with a 3-2-1 because we're going to be having the current winner, which is still Free Will Hunting. Which I just want to remind you right now, Free Will Hunting was episode 9 of this season. We are now up to episode 23.
It's gone very strong.
It's a
This
very
is-
good episode.
This is actually the longest streak of an episode on Shut Up and Take One podcast. So 3, 2, 1.
Free
Will
will
hunting.
hunting. I mean, we didn't really need to do that. I feel like it's pretty obvious.
Can I rip into this thing now,
Go for it.
please?
Go for it.
This is a Family Guy episode. That's
That's
it.
pretty
That's
strong.
it, right? That's it. Like the stakes are non-existent. The A plot has nothing to do with its circumstances. There are cutaway gags for no sense of the reason, and like all character stakes don't exist. The fact that they had Seth MacFarlane in this and the writer is a Family Guy writer, I think speaks to the fact that this is basically a glorified Family Guy episode. There are no stakes.
I feel like this is the episode that people point to when they try and make a case for season 7 being really
Yeah.
bad. It's like it's not indicative of the entire season. It's actually a weird blip.
Yeah.
For me.
I mean, I feel like in my head it is. I mean, I haven't watched Family Guy for so long at this point, but I
you're
feel
missing
like
out.
it is better than a Family Guy episode, but not by much.
I think it's better because
the characters are
because
better.
Futurama is inherently better.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's got that. It's
But
got that vibe.
You are
Yeah.
correct. Like, I find the art style. There were some cool things about the art style this episode.
Sure.
And
But
the characters
bringing
are
in another Nimblonian.
Yes.
Who's like this, who in this fucking, sorry, I'm going to get on my high horse again.
Get on it.
In this fucking scene where we slowly discover that Nibbler was the one who pushed him in, and that's made a huge deal about, and that he's always been there, and that he was animated in the first fucking episode.
Yes.
That this was planned from the beginning to introduce another character who was standing there, who went on there, did a little fucking blip with their fob.
Which wasn't in the first episode.
No.
No. I feel like you're right. If you're going to have this kind of arse pull thing, you have to at least have the logic kind of follow through. Like, even simple things like the fob watch blowing apart planets. Like, where does the logic end with that? And like, I feel like in traditional Futurama things, I'm not as mad when it is very silly, of which Futurama does very well. But this was not that silly to me. And that made me sad because I feel like they didn't care about the logic.
Well, why didn't Nibbler recognize the noise straight away?
Yeah.
It's an Ablonian ship.
Yeah.
The other characters apart from Fry, not that Fry's emotional catharsis is really connected to anything else, but none of the other characters get to do anything. And so what are their reactions? I just wanted so much more from this episode, or I wanted pick one thing, stick with it.
You know what my favorite joke
for it,
was?
yeah.
My favorite joke out of the whole episode was, funnily enough, the Zoidberg joke, which was they make a flamboyant,
Captain
lovely carriage for everyone to
yes.
ride in, but Zoidberg has to drive it.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was funny.
I feel like,
Yeah.
I mean, we could have, there's a few, I mean, we talked about where we wanted, if we had this ideal episode based on the emotional factor, but even just the kind of other premises in this episode, you could have made such a better one, like just in dreams.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've already got the sting, but basically, like, if you could go into a dream of yours and just play the fuck around in it,
They've done it before.
what would you do? You know,
Sting is incredible episode.
yeah, but similarly,
Sting
like,
is our season 4 winner.
I know.
I wouldn't mind seeing, I mean, I would love to see that kind of premise in some other media of like, hey, I want to go back into my own dream and push it for all the detail and all the context and all every little bit I can get out of it until you get to the point where you're like, hey, fuck, I'm in a dream. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Also, they have Inception as a reference point. Inception was 2010.
Yeah. And
So it's 3 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what this is? And I'm going to piss off a lot of Futurama fans by saying
go
this.
Ooh.
This is Brian Died episode of Family Guy. This is this bad, in my opinion. Like, as I've talked
people
about.
like Brian died though, don't they?
No,
I don't know.
No, because he comes back like two
episodes later.
No, but I mean, when that episode
it was-
initially.
yeah, but what I mean is like it's Family Guy. It has no stakes.
No.
Like someone got a tattoo of Brian after he
Woof.
died, right?
No,
and then
not a bad-
2 weeks later, he's back.
Not a good idea.
It is stakeless. It has no consequences. It uses cutaway gags to fill nearly all of its plot. It introduces characters rather than use clever storytelling. It doesn't ratchet up tension. Like, think about, you've already set up this thing where Fry is in this world and they're talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you've got Fry in his dream world, happy and content, and the rest of the world outside him is burning and blowing apart.
Yep.
And they're yelling at him to get on with it.
I mean, this is going to be a weird plug, but I remember a few years ago seeing a Fringe show that kind of explored that premise, where it was a guy who had kind of invented this method to easily lucid dream.
Oh, okay.
And as a result, he just ended up fucking spending weeks
Doing
at
it
a
all the
time or
time.
almost dying
Yeah.
because he was lucid dreaming so much because he had a girlfriend who had passed away. And so he just ended up constantly dreaming so that he could speak to her one more time,
Yeah.
so that he could see her one more time, so that he could kind of explore why she died one more time. And,
We've had Leela dream
Yep.
in the Sting.
Yes.
Fucking great episode.
Now is the time for Fry to dream and for his selfish impulses to take control and put everyone else at jeopardy, and then for him to hero up and figure out where that sound is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
That's the episode. That's consistent with Fry. You know what isn't? Fucking Nixon coming in for no reason.
No.
Like, it doesn't ratchet up the tension. I'm so angry by this episode.
So the point we're making is Murder on the Planet Express, Stench and Sensibility, and Meanwhile.
Are the
Up
last
your game.
Last two episodes are great.
last chances we have to beat Free Will Hunting.
Up your fucking game. And we say this because, yeah.
But we love Futurama.
We
and like,
love a Futurama.
and like, having said all this, Futurama as a show, the characters and certain things like the last the animation of and the setting of Fry just crying into his mum's arms.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Great.
Why couldn't we have had an episode that did justice to that served that up? Because we are invested in these characters, because this is a wonderful show.
Also, shout out to Sarah Silverman for also coming back.
Yeah.
That was Sarah Silverman.
That's her swan song.
Beautiful. We've watched this show for 3 years and done a podcast on it for 3 years.
shit.
Like, we love this show. I don't like shitting on it.
No,
I don't like tearing into it, but I think I should when I like it.
Yes.
I think I should hold it to the standard which I believe it is capable of. And for the writers to go for something cheap like this, I feel like they don't think much of us. And that's why I call it a Family Guy episode.
Right,
Because they
yeah.
don't think much of their audience.
Yeah.
So, guys, girls, and everyone else in between, including the Blurnians.
Nimblonians.
Esteemed others is my favorite.
Esteemed others.
Yeah, is my
Yeah.
favorite pronoun, or like way to reference
Ladies.
other genders.
Gentlemen and esteemed others.
Yeah, nice.
If you would like to join us next week, and you do, you always do, you can join us for Murder on the Planet Express.
I am quite excited for this one.
And as someone who has never watched any visual representation of an Agatha Christie
Really?
thing, this is also
Really?
exciting for me. Yes.
We...
Okay.
New
I have-
podcast idea.
I have-
Agatha Christie, the television, movie, and podcast series.
I have read part of Emma's for Murder.
Only part of it?
Pocket
because-
Full of Rye was
okay,
my favorite.
Very, very quickly.
Okay.
Part of the play is my graduation show for where I studied.
Okay.
I had to pretend I was reading a book. So what I actually did is grabbed a real book, which in the props room with Dial M for Murder,
That's a good book.
and every show
You
I would
read a bit
read
more.
more of the book.
That's good.
Yeah, so there you go. That's my only...
That's your birthday present now.
Yay. What? Fringe work?
Agatha Christie.
Yeah, an Agatha Christie book.
Yay. And until I get my present, you, my friend, have been...
Chris.
And I've done this weirdly. And you know what? Let's start this again.
Yep.
And not edit it out.
Okay.
Until that time, I have been Sean.
I've been Ellen.
I have been Chris. Grumpy as always.
We wouldn't have you any other way, Chris. Okay, maybe we would.
Okay,
regret
bye,
that.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to contact us, you can do so by emailing us at babybeardmedia@gmail.com. Our socials are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @babybeardmedia. And if you're looking for a way to support us, the best way you can do it is by jumping onto iTunes or the podcast app and giving us a 5-star rating and a nice review. Goes a long way to helping us. Otherwise, if you'd like to join us next week,
Anyway.
They just have such wonderfully expressive faces. Okay, they have expressive faces in the sense that they have one expression, and it's I'm shitting my pants right now.
It's shock. I think it was to the effect of your business shirt can't cost under $70.
Wow, go fuck yourself. Billie Eilish, please sample this. Please, come on. Did you watch the Oscars?
Yeah, I was at work and I was watching the Oscars.
I love how every day you hate your job more and more.
Yes, I do.